So in this video, I'm going to go through some more examples of what we're looking at in the previous video. So we have to start off with minus x squared plus 5x is equal to 0. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of options here. The first option is deal with it as it lies, okay? So I'm going to go through that as my first method. So what we'll do is we'll go, right, both of these two terms have x in common, so we can factor the x out. And in my bracket, I'm going to have minus x plus 5. So either the x is equal to 0, or this bracket is 0. So if you subtract 5 from both sides, and then multiply through by minus 1, x is going to be equal to 5, isn't it? Okay. Alternatively, if I was just given this equation to solve, what I would probably do from the outset is I would multiply through by minus 1 first, because then I get rid of the minus x squared. So multiplying through by minus 1 gets me this. Then I can factor the x out of a single bracket, and then I've got x is 0 or x is 5. And it just makes my life a little bit easier, okay? So if any of these actually, if I was given this, that's probably what I would do first. I'm not going to use that secondary method. I'm going to purposefully use the first method because assuming that most people would probably do that. It might be a bit of an assumption to make, but it's worth knowing that, you can manipulate the quadratic equation to make it easier for yourself, okay? So I think this is one of the things that there's a confidence in doing that you have to build, knowing that is something that you can do. It's not just a process of, here's an equation, there must be a method that solves it as it lies, okay? Sometimes you will have to rearrange the equation in order to get it to a best form to solve, okay? So 18x take away x squared is equal to 0. Let's just go with it as it lies. We'll factor the x out first, so we'll have x, and then you have 18 take away x inside the bracket. You could, another kind of option, I guess, would be to factor out minus x, which would then give you minus 18 plus x inside the bracket. That's another alternative. It's not the first thing that would have come to my head. I mean, the fact that I'm just thinking about it now, it probably tells you that I wouldn't, it wouldn't be the first thing I would think of. So now either x is 0 or this bracket is 0. So if we add the x to both sides, we get x equals 18. Or subtract the 18 from both sides, divide through by minus 1, or times through by minus 1. We'll get x is 18 either way, okay? Right, number 3, 4x take away 3x squared is equal to 0. So both terms have an x involved, so let's factor that out, and we'll have 4 take away 3x inside the bracket. So either x is equal to 0, or x is going to be equal to 4/3. Again, if you can't spot that immediately, put the 4 take away 3x equal to 0. Take 4 from both sides. Divide through by minus 3. And there's our second solution. So number 4, 55x take away 40x squared is equal to 0. Now, I think factorising this as it lies is probably not one thing that I would want you to do if you were confronted with this example. I would want you really, first of all, checking about 55 and 40, do they have any common factors? And of course, yes, they do. Both of them can be, both of them have 5 as a factor, or both are divisible by 5. So we're going to divide through by 5 first. That would be the logical first step. I don't really want you factoring 5x out unless you absolutely have to. Okay. If you had a part A that said factorise this, right? Let's go through it this way. If you had a part A that said factorise that, then yes, you would have to factor out 5 and x, and inside your bracket have 11 take away 8x. And then if part B was then hence solve it, then we're in a situation where we can solve the equation, okay? So if you were confronted with that problem, yes, you would have to do it that way. If it was just solve this equation, I would expect you to divide through by 5 first, rather than factoring out the 5, okay? I hope that's clear. I don't want to kind of like give mixed messages on that one. So either the 5x equals 0, so x is 0, or 11 take away 8x is 0, so x is going to be 11/8. So we'll subtract 11 from both sides, and then divide through by -8. And that gets us our answer.